So let's say, for the sake of argument, that all of the water levels around the world rise by let's say 5 feet over the next 100 years, say 10 feet by the next 100 years, and it puts all the low-lying areas on the coast underwater, right? Which, let's say all of that happens. You think that people aren't going to just sell their homes and move?
Just one small problem. Sell their houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman?
Hello and good morning, my beauties and bees. It is I, Bumblebee, here bringing you another fantastic episode of Live from the Hive. So, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Yes, Aquaman, always a fun time dunking on Mr. Ben Shapiro. My eyebrows are off. I just annoying me. Hope you guys liked the little toxic video. I just threw that together over the weekend, so hopefully it was enjoyable. Cute little funny. I wish I had the whole song. Honestly, I love Britney. I've been a Britney fan since I was little. Most of the time in the closet, and in the closet, Britney fan to be unfortunately frank about it, because I wasn't. I wanted to do the dances. It was, oops, I did it again and all that. Yeah, there was just the choreography. I was like here for it, but like closeted here for it. So I want to say hello to everybody also out here in the live chat. We already got a good batch of folks ready to go this morning. We got Greg Hartwick and Steph, and I think Steph was first this morning, actually. We got Dave out here. We got Ring. Hello, gorgeous. We got Deep Arcs, or Deep Arcs, whichever, whichever you prefer. Hello, my lovely AR, Sandy, UC Love in the house, Tobin Templeman, Aunt Jur is here. All right. I was just reading your message there, Jur. Is that about the starting soon screen? Yeah. Mesophobia. Yeah. Good to see everybody this morning, and thank you so much for popping in and joining us, because we got another great morning show for you today, and I'm here for it. One thing I do want to do that I haven't, I guess, really done before is something kind of new, because I found this channel like by myself, and I wanted to give them a shout out because they're super small, but they're doing good videos. So check this out real quick. Let me see. We'll do this. Just a second, sorry. Where you at, sweetie? Yeah, here we go. This is the channel. Dino Basics is really simplified, basic information about dinosaurs, crunched down into the Dilophosaurus videos have popped over 10 minutes, but up until then, everything's been less than 10 minutes. The Dilophosaurus video's choice, though, and you got to remember they got that Jurassic Park section. They got to put into the video, so that's why it pops over a little bit, because when it comes to pop culture presence, Dilophosaurus has a newly but disproportionate popularity for a lot of factors about itself that aren't even true. But they just released like 9 hours ago. I watched it already. But yeah, so there's a new channel. It's kind of small, like 321 subscribers, and they have maybe we have 12 videos. So only been releasing videos for about 2 months, but they're getting good views though. Getting better views than my videos usually do. Getting about that one's got 2K. So this one down here's got 3.5K. 9K for Coelophysis. And that one's yeah, I need to watch that one. I haven't watched the Coelophysis one. Alright, anyway, that's just the channel I wanted to give a quick shout out to, because again, yeah, they are doing some good dinosaur work, some good, they have good paleontology videos. I found this while I was going through paleontology videos looking for bad ones to like dunk on people about, basically. Like I did with the Bright Side video, because that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed finding these poorly researched paleontology videos and then pointing out what's wrong with them. So I'm going to keep doing that because I enjoy it. It was a good time. All right, so recharging my coffee. Made some strong coffee this morning. So I was up and I guess I can unload just real quick, just for a quick minute. I was up until about 5 or 6 this morning. I'm dealing with like hormonal stuff and having a pretty horrendous bout of depression right now. So just to keep everybody in the loop, I'm fine. I'm learning to recognize my symptoms and stuff. I don't know what to do about some of the stuff. You know, there's things that make it super hard. Obviously, nobody likes having depression. Nobody likes having anxiety. So I've been my sleep schedule's all messed up because I've just been sleeping all the time. That's what I do. I crawl under my covers. So that's basically my little safe nest, if you will. So, yeah, that's where I've been for the last week. It's been kind of shitty. So I'm glad that I was able to get it off my chest. I've been taking it out on transphobic idiots on Twitter. It's kind of, or not necessarily on Twitter, on Facebook more so, I guess, here recently. Because that's a good vent for me to deal with it. I've been dealing with some some personal frickin' drama as well, which I won't unload here, but the people who know me know, and everybody else just wish me the best and the things that are moving forward, because they seem to be swaying more and more in my direction, which is always an awesome thing to happen. But this week, as I said last week when we started with the Halloween stuff, since these videos are going to be releasing in October, we are going to continue with each episode having some kind of Halloween theme. So that's what the question in the side chat is all about. And if you haven't heard of this, then stick around, because I'm going to teach you about it. I will see you guys over in Cryptic Corner. All right, hang in there, and I'll be right with ya. Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Cryptic Corner, the dark little corner of the hive where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I messed up my intro. Let me try that again. Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to my dark little corner of the hive, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. Thank you so much for joining me tonight in the hive for this special October spooky season episode of Cryptic Corner. There is a old saying in Scotland that roughly translates to keep the cat turning. So there's a bit of folklore here that's maybe worth digging into. So somebody wanted to find out kind of where that phrase came from and look into it. And we got a horror show ahead of us. Creepy and dark tale for this October evening. And let's just dig right into it. This is the topic of Celtic alluromancy. Right? Alluromancy, if you don't know, is an art of divination through communication with the other side via cats, felines. It's a pretty dark little pathway, and I just wanted to explore a little bit here. So here's a description that I have for you. Okay, this is a Scottish Highland ritual, right? That was practiced right up until until like the 17th century, 18th century, I think it was. Yeah, the 18th century. Really creepy. The most awful ceremony known in the Highland was called the Tig Harum, but better understood as giving his supper to the devil. It consists of roasting cats alive on spits until the archfiend appeared in bodily shape. He was then compelled to grant whatever wish the person who had the courage to perform the ceremony preferred, or to explain and answer whatever questions might be propounded. Tradition makes mention of 3 instances of its performance in the West Highlands. It is a tribute to the fearless character of the actor that such a right should be ascribed to them. Those mentioned are Alan, the cattle lifter, who was a native to Lochaber, who derived his name from having lifted a creech for every year of his life. I don't know what lifted a creech means, but good for you, Alan. I'm happy you were able to pull that off, or sad that happened to you. He derived his name for every year of his life, and one for every quarter he was in his mother's womb. The place where the rite was celebrated is still called in Lochaber Dale de Kate, the Cat's Field. Another instance was by some children of Quithin, a small sept in the sky. I guess a sept is like a plot of land on the Isle of Skye. But make-believe cave on the east side of the island. The last instance was that performed by Alan MacLean, commonly styled as Alan MacCain, as of a family near Lochby, who projected the rite, and Lachlan MacLean, or Lachlan Odar, who was an exceedingly bold and warlike man, the governor of Durin Castle, under his chief Sir Lachlan Moore MacLean. They fought a battle together later. Yeah, these two men shut themselves up in a large barn in Pennygown on the Sound of Mull, Isle of Mull. According to custom, they must roast the cats alive for 4 days without intermission or taste of food. The ceremony commenced on Friday and had not long proceeded when infernal spirits in the form of black cats began to enter the barn in which the rite was being celebrated and join in the horrible howling of those being roasted. Apparently, the Tagarum Nakat was part of a complex of Tagarum rituals of divination, not all of which involved gruesome barbecue and attracted monstrous fortune-telling felines. They had several methods of consulting fate. One of the most remarkable was when a number of men retired to a lonely, secluded place where one of the number was, with the exception of his head, enveloped in a cowhide and left alone for the night. Certain invisible beings then came and answering the questions which he put to them relieved him. Another method of seeking information was known as the Tagarm Nankat and consisted of putting a live cat in a spit and roasting it until others made an appearance and answered the questions obtained to release the unfortunate animal. Yeah, that's so. They're pretty horrid acts that they're being committed on these poor felines. Now, let's see here. Here we go. We're talking about the word here real quick. So the word seems to be derived from tu, which in some parts of the Highland is still used for ghost or spirit, and from garum, calling upon or invoking. It signifies, therefore, necromancy, or the invoking of spirits. There were different kinds of Tagarum, though. One of them was used on Sky, like not many years ago. That's the cowhide one that we just discussed. So these are just different book quotes that I have copied down here, so I'll make sure that I get everything covered, laying the groundwork from this, because we're gonna talk about the results of this, or the alleged results of this, because this is gonna come back real soon. Let's see here. Yeah, the institution was no doubt pagan in origin and was a sacrifice offered to the evil spirit, in return for which the votaries are entitled to demand 2 boons. So you get like 2 wishes from this guy. The idea entertained of it at the time must have been dreadful, as it is still often quoted for the purpose of terrifying young incredulous children. The sacrifice consists, of here we go, roasting the cats again. Now, operation was continued for 4 days and nights without tasting food. The Tagarum commenced at midnight between Friday and Saturday, and was not long preceded when infernal spirits began to enter the house or barn in which it was performed, in the form of black cats. The first that entered, after darting furiously, looking at the operators, said, "Lacane outer, thou son of Neil, that is bad usage of cat." Allen, who superintended as master of the rites, cautioned Lachlan that whatever he should hear or see, he must continue to turn the spit, and this was done accordingly. The cats continued to enter, and yell of the cats on the spits, joined by the rest, were tremendous. a cat of enormous size at last appeared and told Lachlan Hour that if he did not desist before his great-eared brother arrived, he would behold the face of God. Lachlan answered that if the devils in hell came, he would not flinch until his task was concluded. By the end of the 4th day, there was a black cat at the root of every after and on the roof of the barn, and their yells were distinctly heard beyond the sound of Mole in Morven. While later literature insists on the equation of Tegharum with the Christian notion of infernality, saying this demonic, one still sees a peculiar Scottish defiance of everything up to that end, including the devil himself. Just beyond Storr and the farm of Rigg, a green fertile spot amid the stony sea walls, and on the shore, there a little farther north, lies a huge fallen boulder, through which the ravages of time and sea waves have pierced the high archway. But from its resemblance to a church with an open door, it is called Egel's Bregach, or the false church. And nearby stands the petrified minister, a pillar of rock, never able to enter his high pulpit. This boulder was the scene of a grisly rite known in Celtic folklore, but so awful and seldom performed that the Tegharum, a giving of devil his supper. The small sept of McQuithin, despised by all men, lived nearby, and some of them resolved to perform a ceremony. They caught some cats and roasted them living on a spit. By and by, they found themselves surrounded by cats, yelling like fiends. "Whatever you hear, keep the cat turning," said the leader of the McQuithins. To him who held the spit, there came a dread silence. Another cat joined the company. Him the leader knocked down with the cross of his sword hilt, and at once the devil appeared in his proper guise, compelled now to grant whatever the men asked for. But earthly prosperity was not theirs for long. They died, and the devil marked them as his own, and now they are in hell. The leader of the band was the last to die, and was warned of the fate of his comrades, but he was utterly unrepentant, and with much composure announced his intentions to join his companions, saying that if he had 3 short swords that would neither break nor bend, he would vanquish all the devils in hell and make prisoners of them. So he thinks he's going to go down there and be a full-on badass. Cats certainly have an honored place in association with various forms of witchcraft and magical ritual, but a lot of divination practices are slightly less fatal to felines, as the time-honored concept of alluromancy, sometimes called felidmancy, is generally understood to be the foretelling of future events through the observation of the behavior of cats. But that's not what we get with the Tegharum. It's the edgy version. Tegharum is the edgy version of alluromancy, which is divination through observation of felines. According to Horst Deuteroscopy, black cats were indispensable to the incantation ceremony of the Tegharum. And these were dedicated to the subterranean god, or later in the demons of Christianity. The midnight hour between Friday and Saturday was the authentic time for these horrible practices and invocations, and the sacrifice was continued 4 days for 4 whole days and nights. Yeah, we covered that. With the operator not taking any nourishment. After the cats were dedicated to the devil and put into a magical, sympathetic condition by the shameful things done to them, the agony occasioned them, one of them at once put upon the spit and amid the terrifying yells, roasted before a slow fire. Gosh, this is horrific. The moment the howls of the tortured cat ceased and death, another was put on. Yes, so they continued it going and going and going for a minute or of interval must not take place if they would control hell. And this continued for 4 entire days and nights. If the exorcist could hold it out still longer, and even till his physical powers were absolutely exhausted, he must do so. After a certain continuance of the sacrifice, infernal spirits appeared in the shape of black cats. So they look like the rest of the cats, but they're, hanging from the rafters and all over the bouncing all around, yowling and screaming. Finally appeared a cat of monstrous size with dreadful menace. When the Tehirrim was completed, the sacrificer demands of the spirit the reward of his offering, which consists of various things, as riches, children, food, and clothing, the gift of second sight, which they had not had before, was, however, the usual recompense. So, wishing for the ability to see the future and read people's minds, I guess. And they retained it to this day and their death. The connection of these ceremonies with the shaman of Northern Asia and witch practices of the Middle Ages is obvious. That's from Einemoser. I don't want to be too quick to dismiss it as like, just another individual shamanic practice. Like, there's a lot of unique Celtic origins to this. The Kate She comes to mind, which we will be talking about in more detail next weekend, because we got cats all the way down for the next 3 weeks. So if you like learning about cryptid cats, and that's not big cats, that's like felines, like kitty cats, we got 3 episodes in a row that we're going to be doing covering cats. Next week we're talking about the Kate She will come up, because we're talking about the Kellis cat. If you don't know what the Kellis cat is, stick around and we will let you know. I'm gonna go ahead and end my poll here. I think everybody's kind of answered their opinion on that. Scottish. Let me catch up on the chat. Sorry, I've been kind of in my head reading here. So I gotta go way back, so hang in there. Here we go. Yeah, we're gonna be black cats all the way down for Halloween. I'm here for it. I love kitties. I haven't had a kitty in a long time though. I miss having cats. They run out of cats. They run out of chickens. In the Middle Ages, cats were kind of demonized, though. The cats prefer to burn you, says Stephanie Helms. I feed my cats healthy vegan meals. 4 days of burning cats and fasting sounds awful. Yeah, because they're going to be yowling and stuff. How do you burn something alive for 4 days? Surely they would die pretty quick. Yeah, you gotta, they put them on one at a time. It's horrendous, but again, hasn't been done for centuries now, as far as we know. But we're gonna look at a case here in a second, as soon as I get caught up here, of what was perhaps the Tehirrim that caused it. So, hang in there. Let's see here. I thought I saw some comments about this. There's one lurking in the water dish in my kitchen, right? Meow. Hey, Sumami, good morning. This is some weird theistic barbarism, you see, Love says. Absolutely. It's crazy what people used to get up to and think how they thought the natural world works. It's just, it's archaic, but, you know, I'm glad that I've found that I actually, when I was into the New Age scene, right, I was really, this particular type of divination was my bag. I wanted to learn how to do alluromancy. We had lots of cats when I was that age. You know, we were witchy people, so we had lots of cats, and I did want to learn how to communicate with them. I would have never done anything like this. I love cats. There's no way, but you know, I wanted them to. I wanted to be able to. Honestly, I wanted to be able to communicate with them. Because I love him so much. So I learned about this a long time ago, this ritual. It was like, oh, that's the awfulest thing. But I do like keeping these things, the memory of these things alive. We got to remember where we've come from, what kind of stuff we used to do as a species to other species on the planet for superstitious reasons. And we still do it today to different species and different people groups too, for that are biased superstitions that don't actually hold up. Fasting causes hallucinations. That's probably part of the process. And you start hearing like the yowling of the cats that you're torturing starts to sound like words to you as you're hallucinating. Absolutely. I heard someone say that the other day house cats are not mentioned in the Bible, and that's odd because the Egyptians are mentioned. Yeah, well, the thing is, too, about that is that mongoose is mentioned in the Bible. So was the mongoose the preferred mouser of the Levant? I think probably was. Maybe in the Levant they had more mongoose than cats to control, because that's what they were. They were field control. They were rodent control. Now, obviously, you can pet them and play with their babies, whether it's mongoose or cats. They can be domesticated to be friendly and interact with people. So yeah, mongoose mentioned in the Bible, but no black cats. Once upon a time, I heard mythology that there was no true black cat left. Every black cat in the world now has at least one hair of a different color, because all the true black cats were killed during the Middle Ages, the witch burnings. I've heard that legend too. That's as far as I can tell, that's completely false. But that's also something else that we'll get into for when we talk about the Kellis cat too, is some of the Middle Age beliefs about the wild cats and about what domestic cats were and what they represented. Seriously, sounds like you could use this as a hag ritual for D&D. Yeah, alluromancy. It'd be cruel though. Cats can be great companions. They miss out on a friend. Yeah, when they roast them alive. Officially hit the wall. Yeah. Killing those plague rats. That was witchcraft. These cats were obviously in league with the devil, killing the plague rats. A boat I made sails for is named Tavi. That's cool. Ooh, Steph hit the 200 subscribers. Woo woo! Go Stephanie. Little Bun does have a white patch on his chest. Yeah, we had a black cat that was named Thorn, and he had just like a little sprig of hairs on his center of his chest that were white. That's this guy right up on the screen is actually an inverted black cat with the patch on his chest. I keep mentioning it, next week we're going to talk about the Kellis cat. So tune in next week because it's going to be fun. But we need to get back over to learning about this creature. So We're going to move on. Because right now we're stuck in the Middle Ages, right? Or the late Middle Ages. We're going to get right into just last century, the 20th century. Here we go. It could have been a scene enacted from Dante's Inferno. Even the clouds seemed to be wreathed in flames as torrent after torrent of plummeting German bombs screamed through the darkness in the skies over South London and danced a fiery tarantella of death upon the shuddering streets like a flurry of shrieking souls in everlasting torment. And in the midst of this panorama of pandemonium was Howard Leland, one of the many volunteers with the ARP, the Air Raid Precaution, who had been boldly defying the deadly rain of missiles throughout the fearful evening of October 1943 in a desperate bid to minimize the malevolent effect. Little did Leland realize, however, that he would soon encounter something infinitely more sinister and malign with any conjured forth by the wartime enemy. And the ground reverberated from the intensity of yet another mighty explosion nearby. Leland ran into a deserted house to take shelter. Until the immediate danger had passed. The building's interior was pitch black, but with the aid of his torch, he located a staircase and rested on the bottom steps for a while, waiting for his latest airborne assault to end. Suddenly, a cold shadow of fear swept across him, for as he sat there, he realized indefinably, but undeniably, that he was no longer alone in the house. Something, not someone, else was here too, close by and watching him. Unbidden eyes. His gaze turned upward to the top of the stairs, and the feeling intensified. Surely there, concealed amid the Stygian gloom, was the source of his fear, and now he would reveal its identity. Leland switched on his torch again, directing it, penetrating its beam onto the topmost stair, and beheld a hellish sight that transfixed him with fear, expelling from his mind all of that evening's previous horrors in an instant. Crouched upon the stairs, a huge, hairy beast, with tabby stripes of black and brown, clawed paws and blazing eyes that glowed like twin infernos, mesmerized Leland with an incandescent gaze, not glaze. They might have been glazed, though, I don't know. It would have resembled a monstrous cat, had it not been for the pair of sharp, pointed horns that protruded from its skull. For almost a minute, Leland remained motionless, held in thrall by the cold aura of palpable evil that radiated inexorably from the beast's unblinking eyes. And then it moved. With a single colossal leap, it sprang from the stairs, plunging down into the shadowy room. But before it reached the ground, it had vanished. Yet its presence had not entirely gone, for Leland could plainly hear a spine-chilling, yowling cry echo in the empty room. At the same instant, however, the sound of human footsteps came from the opening of the front door, and the spell was broken. The eldritch cry ceased immediately, and through the door walked two of Leland's ARP comrades. Their reassuringly familiar forms and voices swiftly dispersed the shadow of terror that had encompassed Leland only moments before, and encouraged him to recount his chilling experience. Neither of his friends had heard anything when they entered the house, however, so he did not expect them to treat this account seriously. which is why he was so surprised when they listened silently and with grave expression throughout his story, making no attempt to scoff or scorn his words. When Leland had finished, his friends informed him that he was not the first person to have spied the feline monster. On the contrary, it had been seen by many different eyewitnesses over a period of several years, and the sightings were always the same: an immense horned cat with demonic eyes squatting at the top of the stair. Nevertheless, in the hopes that a more straightforward explanation might be forthcoming, the three men walked up the stairs to search everywhere thoroughly for any physical evidence of the creature's reality, but nothing was found. Still disturbed by the memory of this grotesque entity, but anxious to uncover the identity and possible significance, 2 days later, Leland visited a renowned clairvoyant, John Pendragon, and recalled to him his encounter. After listening intently, Pendragon located the house on a large map in London, then placed a forefinger on the precise spot marking it. At once, Pendragon's mind was filled with a whirling vista of cats. Countless furry wraiths swirling all around at the top of the deserted house's stairs with a screeching, spitting vortex of feline fury. A mad maelstrom of undying hate. And at its very center was something much larger, but it was not a cat. Not even a horned demon cat. It was a man, haggard and despairing, with a noose in his hands, about to place it around his own neck. After describing the vision to Leland, Pendragon asked him to make inquiries among the house's neighbors to discover whether any details of its history and its previous owners corresponded with his vision. A week later, Leland returned, bearing some extremely interesting and vindicating news. One of the house's former inhabitants had been an ardent practitioner of the black arts, in a vain hope of improving what he had perceived to be a wretched, unfulfilled life. In accordance with one particularly grisly ritual, he had routinely slaughtered numerous cats for sacrifice upon an unholy altar. Ultimately, the balance of his mind had become totally unhinged, and he had committed suicide, hanging himself with a noose suspended from the banister at the top of the stairs. Shortly afterwards, the great horned cat had been seen there for the first time, and the spectral yowling cries have often been heard since. When Leland asked his opinion as to this monster's precise nature, Pendragon suggested that it was probably an elemental spirit, one whose feline appearance and vitriolic hatred had been created by restless ghosts of a departed sorcerer's many feline victims, and which would linger indefinitely in the grim locality where they had all met their terrible death. Although the vast majority of Britain's mystery cats are unquestionably exotic, non-native cats like leopards and mountain lions and such that have escaped or have been deliberately released from captivity or simply misidentified common animals, some investigators have speculated whether a few of them are in reality paranormal entities disguised as big cats, as would certainly seem to have been the case with the London's horned demon cat of World War II. Incidentally, it should be noted here that although the original source of the case was John Pendragon, autobiography Pendragon in 1968, which was written in collaboration with paranormal mystery writer, investigator Brad Steiger. I used to have a couple of Brad Steiger's books. It only contained a fairly brief account of the events. However, Steiger's own book, Bizarre Cats, in 1993, I think that's the one I had, included much more detailed, greatly expanded version related to him by Pendragon, which not only emphasized the entity's feline nature, but also incorporated other noteworthy additions, such as the full name of the eyewitness, merely referred to by his initials in Pendragon's books, and the hideous cat slaying ritual performed by the man who had subsequently committed suicide in the house where the horned cat demon were later seen. So, and that's this is from Carl Schucker's blog. Let me pull it up here because I do get a lot of my research from here. He is a cryptozoologist. He's pretty credulous though, and I like that. His accounts are generally credulous, but this is his blog here, which I've been reading to you. I just figured I'd better put something more poppable up on the screen while I was doing through that, because it gets boring sometimes just sitting here listening to me read and looking at the letters on the screen. So hope you like that format. I will try to continue to do that more. Looks like everybody liked it. I got like 26 people up in here. Hey, good morning, Titan. Good morning, Maya and Al and everybody else that I missed. Sorry if I missed ya. But let me see. Let me catch up with the chat here. The true black pigment gene for cats is rare, but they exist. Most black cats are actually very dark brown. If you look at a black cat in the sunlight, you'll see it looks brown. Some of them have like a tabby pattern underneath too, like a very faint one. Let's see. Is it the ambition of every well brought up mongoose to be a house mongoose? Like, yeah, like Rudyard Kipling's Ricky Tikki Tavi, yeah. Or Gaff the Talking Mongoose, remember him? I'll have to take your word for it. I hate cats. Not enough to burn them alive, though. Holy shit. Yeah. Maya, thank you for not burning cats alive. That seems like a low bar for how we handle cats. I think 209 right now. 209, go staff. 9 since just the other day. Stay tuned for a show I did with Phoebe J. Rose and Blair Hamilton on the transatlantic. Yep, I was I there for that? I think I was there for that, wasn't I? Yeah, it's a good story for why you don't invite friends to your home. People are demented. Nice storytelling, but no way did this actually happen. Yeah, I don't think this actually happened. Well, I think that maybe he saw a cat, like he went into the house and he was scared, and there was a big, maybe like a Norwegian forest cat or something living in the house that was sitting at the top of the stairs, and his torch hit its eyes, and he was all rattled from the bombings, and he decided that he saw a giant horned cat instead of actually seeing a real cat or seeing a demon cat. It was maybe a real cat. If a character's name is Pendragon, I'm automatically skeptical, right? I'm with you there. What if they're aliens disguising themselves as the dominant life form on the planet? What if cats just are aliens? You know, a cat's meow is at the same register as a baby's cry. They literally sound like our children in distress to get our attention. My neighbor has a true black cat. She hates everyone but me. A true long-haired black cat is beautiful. Ring's at 207 too. Ring and Steph are neck and neck. All right. Well, that was the first installment of this new Cryptic Corner series I'm doing for Halloween. So that was part 1 of the mystery cats. This one was the what they call him Big Ears is the demon cat with that of the Teg Harem. They call him, his name is literally Big Ears. And then the horned demon cat of World War II, which may or may not be the same entity known as Big Ears. Maybe they just, in the shock of the bombing, he saw the big ears as a set of horns. That's a possibility, right? Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this this format. It's just kind of a more of a storytelling format than a response video format. But happy birthday, Gary! Happy birthday to Gary! I hope this was scary. And there aren't no giant cats to come and get you and be hairy. I don't know what we're gonna say there because you can't actually sing the birthday song. I'll get my video struck down for royalties. I don't know. Is that still a thing about the birthday song? Did we do hey it's your birthday? But now Gary's birthday is immortalized in my demon cat video. And I'll go ahead and give you spoilers on next week and the week after. So next week we are going to be doing the Kellis cat. And when it comes to cryptids, it's one you're not going to want to miss. If you like cryptozoology, like genuinely the search for unknown animals as an area of research, if you think that that's interesting, if you think that's fun, if you want to learn about them, come back next week for another episode of CryptoCorner, where we jump into the Kellis cat. The week after that, we get back into some more paranormal stuff because we're going to have the ghost cat of DC, of Washington, DC, the ghost cat. So if you're not familiar with that, that's 2 weeks out. Okay, so that's our feline special for October. We're doing the witchy cats this year. We've done UFO October. I think, what did we do last year? Poltergeist or something like that. But this year we're doing cat stuff. So hang around for that. We are also going to be doing other fundy responses to Halloween too, like I did last year. So keep your eye out for that. That was my main theme last year, but it was actually in Creation Watch that I did it, not in CryptoCorner. But we'll be doing responses to fundy stuff too. So more Halloweeny stuff to come. So I'm here for it. I love spooky season, and I hope you do too. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, so we are going to move into Creation Watch now. We got some Mud Fossil University coming up for you after this brief interlude. So stick with me, and I will see you guys over in Creation Watch.
Now gather round, children. I'll tell you a tale about valiant squid and some bloodthirsty whales. A battle that rages deep in the blue sea, far from the surface, from you and from me. Squid and whales in the battle of the century. Squid and whales were determined to conquer the sea. Suction cups and giant beaks versus dorsal fins, blubber and meat. Some giant squid with giant eyes versus sperm whales of massive sizing. Suckers, hooks and tentacles against the earth's largest mammals. The mighty titans of the sea in battle for their destiny. And the cephalopods sing. Squid and whales, 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 squid
Religious extremists don't believe in plurality or inclusion, but only in their own superiority and privilege. So in the 1950s, they changed our national motto from the unifying phrase "E pluribus unum" to an exclusionary proclamation of religious belief, and then forced atheist children to chant that mantra ever since. They don't want a democratic republic of we the people. They want an authoritarian regime of forced conformity, restricting even our most intimate liberties, what we think and even who we are. To achieve that goal, they promote American exceptionalism, which is the lie that the U.S. is blessed and will remain so only as long as we appease the Christian version of God, even when that means attacking unbelievers and queer folk, which our increasingly awful state is already doing. In order to sell the first lie, they need to couch it in another lie, that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation, which is demonstrably factually false even according to the founders themselves, and the lie that our laws were based on Moses, who experts now say never existed. The First Amendment contradicts the First Commandment because the founders wanted to be the polar opposite of the Sharia-like law of Moses. But if the 10 Commandments were prominently displayed in every classroom, then the kids would believe that lie. That's why religious conservatives want this. They are relentlessly trying to rewrite history to undermine our pioneer example of a secular nation, the only form of governance that can provide religious freedom. Our model has become the envy of the Western world and is now emulated by older countries that were once the oppressive theocracies that our forefathers escaped and that Christian nationalists now want to drag us back to. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said this bill would promote religious freedom, which of course it won't. It will have the opposite effect, which is the intended effect, to promote Christianity to a privileged position. This bill is an unconstitutional establishment of religion by design. That is the whole point of it, and the only possible purpose behind it, so it must not pass.
All right, members, excuse me, any questions for this witness? All right, we appreciate you being here. Chair calls Charles Cruz.
Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Creation Watch. We are finally breaking the champagne bottle off on the, the stern of the Mud Fossil University. Yeah, so that's where we're going today, and this just popped in, and I watched like the first 30 seconds of it and couldn't stop laughing. It's 19 and a half minutes long, and hopefully we can get some good laughs out of this. So sit back and relax, because we are going to visit Mud Fossil University. Was the feathered serpent a real creature? What's the evidence? What evidence is there today to prove my claim? Yeah, my reading comprehension's kind of shot this morning. Sorry. But we're going to keep going, because we got Quetzalcoatl, and we're going to see what Roger can teach us about it.
Okay, my friends, this is about to become extremely interesting.
Extremely interesting.
Quetzalcoatl is a deity in the Aztec culture and literature.
True.
Among the Aztecs, he was related to wind, Venus, sun, merchants, arts, crafts, knowledge, and learning. All right, he was also the patron god of the Aztec priesthood. Now, this is very, very interesting to me, because I know of the gods of mythology and the Greek gods.
I like Camazotz, the vampire bat god of the Aztec Empire. Check that guy out. He's badass.
But this is also basically the same thing, only it was on the other side of the ocean. And apparently they didn't even know anything about these guys. That's what it looks like to me. Now you say, oh, Roger, that's just something they made up to scare the kids. No, it isn't. That's what Quetzalcoatl looks like. He had a feathered headdress looking thing, and he was all feathered serpent.
Yes, he's a feathered serpent. This is the stylized image, obviously. There was like no, like just wait. We're gonna get to what Quetzalcoatl looked like, but or what he thinks Quetzalcoatl is. But this is, I believe, this is representing that he's a god that you sacrifice people to, a god that's hungry for blood sacrifice, is what this image is supposed to represent.
He had a little beard here, and that's what he looked like. And here
Where's
he is
the beard?
showing eating
Wait,
some.
do you not know what a beard is? Do you guys see a beard? Why does it look like this has been edited, though? Look at that. See, the rest of it's closed in by this black line, and that's opened up into the human. Was that person put in secondarily, maybe? What happened with the jaw there? Why is it not closed?
Kind of huge, giant creature, and that's a human. Because I'm going to tell you, when you see the size of Quetzalcoatl, the size of this guy, it's almost impossible to figure this out. Well, basically it is impossible. Because here's what Quetzalcoatl is, and here he is right here. That's Quetzalcoatl. There's his feathered headdress. There's his...
So I guess it was a minute and a half, and when I died laughing, because do you guys recognize what we're looking at? Do you know what this is?
This color is from his body. Around it is from where the runoff is, where things grow green. There's his little beard. Remember his beards? There's his beards coming down right here. This is his head.
I'm going to choke myself. Oh, okay. Let me go back a few seconds here.
Green. There's around it is from where the runoff is, where things grow.
Okay, this is the Mississippi Valley. This is the Mississippi River Valley. That's what you're looking at here. This is where the Mississippi runs down. This lighter green patch is the Mississippi River Valley floodplain, which has been cleared out for farming because we farm close to the rivers. You can also see where the Missouri River cuts up through there, but not so much. You got the Ozark Mountains and the southern swamps over here, the swamps in East Texas, Arkansas, and you have the different coloration because there's forests and highlands, and here's the Appalachian Mountains, and here's more swampland down here, and this is the Appalachian Mountains over here. I think this is just the Tennessee Highlands. But yeah, this is not. So the clearing of the Mississippi Valley of trees into the shape of, it doesn't look like a drag or a serpent to me, but I guess a river looks like a serpent, so a river valley is going to look like a serpent to someone like Roger. Hopefully this gets better.
Green. There's his little beard. Remember his beards? There's his beards coming down right here. This is his head. This is his throat, and all of this goes right up around, and it swings all the way up and goes all the way up the East Coast. All the way up the East Coast.
Oh, wait a second.
That is Quetzalcoatl,
okay.
my friends.
So the Mississippi Valley is... The Mississippi Valley is his head. Just his head, though. And the beard that he talked about was not in that other image, but it's whatever this river system is here. That's what he's calling the beard. And then he goes, okay, so he's claiming it goes like this. Up the... Quetzalcoatl is his body is the Appalachian Mountains. Is that the claim? Appalachia. Sorry, Sandy. I know you think it's so silly when how I say it up here in Missouri. Or Illinois. I guess I'm in Illinois now. But my accent's Missouri accent. But yeah, the Appalachian Mountains are a giant serpent. Who knew?
All the way up the East Coast. That is Quetzalcoatl, my friends. And this is also Quetzalcoatl.
But there's no beard.
And he looks exactly...
What beard? What beard are you talking about? Does anybody see a beard on this image? Is it just me? Am I missing the beard? Is he talking about the, whatever the guy's tunic or whatever hanging out of his mouth? That's not a beard. That's something belonging to this dude. You can see because it matches the rest of his cloth. And there's, I think these are supposed to be the serpent's teeth, but...
The same. And you don't think those are feathers? I can prove to you they're feathers. You want to see feathers on top of his head? I'll show you. Okay, take your time.
So, yeah, it's a as Beamsy points out, a South American deity in North America, right? But he's looking at South America. But he's looking at it, right? Isn't this so convincing, guys? Probed. Maya.
And look at this. Don't forget, there's his beard, this is his head, and this is the feathered headdress.
Okay.
You see the different color here? No.
The feathered headdress is the Ozark Mountains. Well, what is this? This is I think this is the... This might be... It's hard to see with this orientation, but I think this might be either Missouri. I guess this is the Missouri River Valley, and that this is the White River down here, underneath the feather right now. But what he's saying is the headdress is the Missouri River Valley, and then south of it is the Ozarks. These are the Ozarks right here. And this is just the forested region between, before you get to Kansas and in central Missouri. Okay. Just trying to get my bearings. He's got it all disoriented. The only thing that's keeping me able to keep track of it is having Lake Michigan over here to give me some sort of guidance. So this would be Chicago, and then I can locate, St. Louis and stuff.
These are feathers, and I can show you they're feathers. You see this right here? That right there, my friends, is a feather. And this right here, my friends, is also a feather. Now, it takes a while for this thing to sink in, and you'll be able to actually see this right here. You see this? That's the center right here. You see that?
Oh, my goodness. It's just a
That's exactly the same as this. And then the feathers run off this way. And there's another one right over here.
That's not how runoff comes off of a levee. No, that's
all right, these are his headdress feathers. And they run all up in here. Now, these snakes, well, I guess he's a serpent, but he snakes all the way up the East Coast. Now, I'm going to show you something, Luray Caverns, which is in the bowels of the beast.
He's going to show us its cloaca.
All right, all creatures have guts. They all have a digestive system that I know of. Now, here he is running all the way up, and this is into the digestive system, and his guts are right in here. Now, and does he go further up the coast? Absolutely. You see up here? These are still his feathers. You see, these are still his feathers.
Catskills, right? Catskills?
And feathers make things grow extremely green. So now we come back here to Luray Caverns. Now let's go inside and look at Luray Caverns. Now I have looked at this extremely carefully, and I know exactly what it is. Well,
he knows exactly what it is. It's snake poon. It's a cloaca.
Or less. All right, so here's Luray Caverns. We're going to go inside in a second. You see these here?
That's a
I
snake.
believe this is like in a digestive area where there's some tubing and so forth that runs through the digestive system. And of course there's the feathers that cover.
That's snaky. Look how snaky it is. It's obvious. It's obvious. Look, it's up here too. Snaky, snaky, snaky. It's nothing to do with this being a mountain range. Nothing at all. With these being looped up in mountain valleys, the road diving up and down into the mountain valleys and the feet of the mountains sticking out. No, it's not that. Not at all. This is snake intestines.
Cover up. And look up here. Look at this. I believe this is all digestive area. This whole area in here, and Luray Caverns over here is... it's an organ, but I'm not exactly sure of the organ, but I think it might be part of a kidney. All right, now this is what you find in Luray Cavern, and you find it in all of these caverns. Now these are huge empty voids under the ground. Why are they empty voids, and why do they have these kind of formations, these gooey looking things?
Have you ever seen how limestone deposits in cave systems? We can actually like track the growth of this stuff, so we know these things are happening naturally through processes that are understood. There's, you know, speleology, which is the study of caves, and we track the growth and changes and formations in caves, these limestone formations. Sometimes some cool stuff gets uncovered as they erode or as they grow, depending on the situation.
And there's water bubbling up inside there, flowing over, and it just keeps getting more and more deposits of this kind of strange-looking architecture. And they're everywhere. There's a ton of different caverns. And in every one of these caverns, they have these type of
stalactites, stalagmites, and pillars. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the kind of stuff that forms in caves.
Okay, my friends, this is Luray Caverns, and it's absolutely enormous inside there.
You can get married in there.
There's a couple of people standing here looking at these formations. Now, what is all this dribbling, gooey-looking stuff running all over inside here?
It's rocks. It's not gooey. You can touch them. They're rocks. We actually know what it's made out of and everything. It's lime deposits with some calcite and stuff in it too. It's very similar in composition to like quicklime.
And I mean, it's everywhere. You see it? This stuff is everywhere in here.
Everywhere, he says.
Look at that.
And it's definitely gooey.
Why
is
it dripping
rocks.
down like that?
It's not. It's goo. It's not. It's dripping.
Why is it formed like this?
Because of gravity. Because of gravity pulling the water down. So when water gathers at the top or comes down through the cracks or forms up from a riverway or the groundwater up above, it flows down through there and drips. And as it goes down through, it collects minerals. And those minerals are left behind when the water drips down. And then when the water drips down, the minerals are left behind in a pile underneath. So you get a stalactite and a stalagmite. We know this process very well. It's so funny, but it's gooey organs, right?
Well, I can tell you why. It's biology. This was biology. That's the guts of Quetzalcoatl.
Cloacanite.
All right, so we know what Quetzalcoatl looks like. There he is right there. And it appears to be, he was eating, they must have been titans. Those are much bigger than normal giants. If that's the size of his head, that's hundreds of miles.
Yeah, so that's him eating a titan now. We've decided that this can't be just a normal guy he's eating. It's got to be a titan because Quetzalcoatl is the size of, he's the Appalachian Mountains, right? So now that we've decided that a Central American deity his head's the Mississippi Valley and his headdress is the Ozark mountain range, and his body is the Mississippi Valley or the Appalachian Mountains.
So these are not little puppies. All right, so check this out now. Here he is eating a guy. That's his head. Just think the guy would be out here somewhere, be absolutely,
yeah,
all I can tell you is the only one that spoke about this.
He's swimming in the Gulf of Mexico, and the snake's all like, Gump. Yeah, you think you'd be that big, you could just take a swim wherever you want, like Gulf of Mexico, and be a nice shallow little pool for you. But nope, giant snake's not having it. And despite the snake being the size of a continent, he just didn't see it coming and couldn't get away.
Huge creatures was Jesus Christ. I know it sounds insane, but he said,
Quetzalcoatl, I love it. Oh, you guys, you're killing me. Oh, what else do we got? Sneakum, Snussy. Snake hockey. Guys, stop.
Whoever discovers the Earth is going to discover a body and corpses, or corpses in a body, or that type of thing. And he said, when you figure this out, you're going to be really disturbed and amazed, and that's a fact.
I would love to find a continent-sized skeleton. That'd be
awesome. A buddy of
awesome.
mine down here, Greg Morrison, found this feather on the side of the road. This is a road. This thing's huge. And he chopped this piece off for me right here. And that's it right there. It's exactly like a turkey feather. Same color and everything. That's the top and that's the bottom. You see how thick that piece of feather is?
I said, if this was a roadway, wasn't this like cut to be like that? Like, didn't they cut that for the road to go through? I mean, I'm just speculating here, but these look like machined cuts.
It's got to be a minimum of 1,000 times thicker than this. And all that is, this piece right here is what's in between these. It's like one of those pieces. This isn't a whole feather. This is the pieces go between each other. It's absolutely enormous. But this is still not as big as it would be for Quetzalcoatl, because I figured this out, and I came to, hold on a second. This has got to be a minimum of 1,000 times bigger than a regular feather. So even if you took 1,000 times,
well, I think that feather is probably 1,000 times bigger than like a hummingbird feather, though. But this would be a lot more than more orders of magnitude. Roger, think bigger with what you're talking about here. This is like a thunderbird feather or something.
2-foot long turkey, and they're about to say that. That's 2,000 feet. That's not even half a mile. This wouldn't even be an amoeba to Quetzalcoatl. This thing wouldn't even it would be like dust. Something this big, 20, 30 miles long, whatever. It would be nothing.
Paul Bunyan, yeah. That could be Paul Bunyan.
This thing runs up the whole East Coast, thousands of miles.
Thousands of miles, guys.
Me, I can't see how you can dispute that. And Luray Caverns is the guts. And when I show you where it dumps into, that should shock you.
Are we going to see that?
This is hysterical.
Show us that hoo-ha, Roger. Show us that cloaca. Quetzal cloaca. Yeah, that's what this video is going to be called, the Quetzal cloaca. Thank you, Tsunami. That name is sticking.
This is Luray Caverns. That's the digestive system. From there, you got urine or you got poop, one or the other. And it sort of filters down here, and then it comes down here, and then guess where it goes? Into Washington, D.C. Okay, it's just what it is.
This actually checks out. I'm convinced now, Roger. I wasn't before, but that explains so much about D.C. And again, as said in the previous segment, but not in this show tonight, tune in for the Halloween special, because we have the Ghost Cat of Washington, D.C. coming up. Woo!
Quetzalcoatl poops into Washington, D.C. Now, there's urine and there's poop in
not in a reptile, though. In a reptile, in most things, there's just a cloaca. Only placental mammals really have the division of labor, if you will, of those two. Most species have their reproductive and solid and liquid waste all in one. Are you saying that this feathered serpent has mammalian digestive tract now? Interesting.
Reptiles and in avian creatures, birds. And he qualifies for both.
Wait, what?
Avian creatures, birds. In reptiles, there's just what it is. Quetzalcoatl poops into Washington, D.C. Now, there's urine and there's poop in reptiles and in avian creatures, birds. And he qualifies for both.
Birds are reptiles, though. Let's not forget that. Birds are definitely reptiles. Definitely. If a crocodile's a reptile, a bird's a reptile.
Don't forget, Luray Cavern's right over here. And it dumps all of its stuff right down here into Washington, D.C. And then it runs out all this poop, or whatever it is. The two of them joined together. Where do you see this? This blew my mind. So here's Washington, and it is basically the anus.
I heard it. He puts the R in Washington. He says Washington. Yay.
Fine. So here's Washington, and it is basically the anus of Quetzalcoatl. Look at this, because they have poop and they have urine, and the two of them come together, and this is where they're coming together right here. So whatever this is, look at this thing here. What is that?
A sandbar.
What the hell is that? Did they put those pipes in there sometime?
Those aren't pipes.
Are those pipes, or are those some kind of organ? I don't know what it is. But it looks like it's a natural thing. I don't think this is anything accidental that's just showing up here. And then
it is interesting looking.
Whatever it is out of there comes out of here. And you don't see that until you get way deep down in. And that is below the surface. This is minus 24 feet. Over here, it's minus 24 feet, pretty much all the way across. Minus 16, minus 35. Over here it's minus 52. So it's running down and out.
Yeah, that's what rivers tend to do.
And this is all that muddy, dirty, nasty water coming out of Quetzalcoatl's digestive system.
So you acknowledge that Quetzalcoatl would be a reptile or a avian, which both have a cloaca and not two separate tracks for solid and liquid waste.
Call it that. And it's going right in the right place.
Well, you think that'd be very fertile soil, unless these are kaiju that have like a radioactive waste or something. But it looks pretty fertile to me. Everything's green.
Life. All right, you might want to go up and look at some of this stuff. The Luray Cavern is the largest cave system on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Get out of town. All right, this is another place, Bryce Canyon. They say it's sedimentation and erosion and liquefaction. No, this is the guts of something. It's not uplift. It's not any of that stuff. They came up with all kinds
it's erosion.
of
it's actually literal erosion that you can see still happening. See those streaks coming down? That's the higher layer of mineral washing down over the lower layer of mineral in a process called erosion. The red stone generally has higher iron in it that's being oxidated.
Theories, it's biology. It has nothing to do with that stuff. So here's Carlsbad Caverns. Same thing. These are all different creatures. Quetzalcoatl was not just a one-off. They're everywhere. The earth is made out of the bodies of creatures. Now, this is the Gnostic text, but this is supposedly written by Doubting Thomas, who was Jesus Christ's scribe. He wrote down exactly what he said. These are the secret sayings, the living, alive Jesus Christ spoke. And Doubting Thomas wrote down in these hidden texts.
Is Jesus going to be talking about Quetzalcoatl? Really? And Bree, the reason he pointed out the beard is because Quetzalcoatl is called the bearded god. Yeah, that's why not Hernando de Soto, but Cortez. That's why they thought Cortez was, well, according to legend anyway. I don't know if that's actually something that holds out. This is what I was taught when I was in school, is that because Cortez had a beard, they thought that he was the god.
Discovered in 1945. All of this is very, very, it's crazy to be honest with you, but it appears to be true to me. Jesus said, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. Absolutely. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all, whatever that means. But I know what 56 and 80, I think it is.
The hell did we just jump over to the Bible
Jesus
here?
said, whoever has come to understand the world has found only a corpse. As I just showed you, there's nothing but dead. It's nothing but dead. Whoever has found a corpse is superior to the world. Well, I don't know about that, but...
Sounds like something someone would say like, around a campfire while passing around a joint. That's what it sounds like to me. And I think that's a lot of what the Jesus and Thomas and the boys spent a lot of time doing. Jesus would drop some little nuggets like that. I think probably... Didn't Jesus... who was it that the magician or whatever, that John the Baptist, yeah, didn't he learn a lot of his proverbs and stuff from John the Baptist? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I may be mistaken, but it was my understanding that Jesus was under the tutelage of John the Baptist, at least for a short time in his career as a prophet.
If you let your mind understand what you see, you are superior to the world. The world is lost. Jesus said, he who has recognized the world has found a body. He who has found a body is superior to the world. I'm telling you, it's disgraceful what has happened to humanity. And I meant...
So, yeah, good question, Titan. So what is the relation to the serpent and Jesus? Is it a pet owner and pet situation? Is Jesus like Aaron and just really in Aaron and Matt Dillahunty and really into reptiles and herping? Because he could probably meet them halfway. They've been begging to talk to him for decades. I'm new on the scene, but Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ra are both just into keeping snakes like Jesus apparently is. So maybe you could try that angle to engage with them.
I'll tell you right now, I never had a religious upbringing whatsoever, and I laughed at religion because I had no evidence, none, zero. Well, now the evidence is overwhelming. So I'm going to tell you what, if you got kids, I'd start to teach them how to pray and how to try to find Jesus Christ, because he came back here to tell us, this is insane.
Great.
This world is insane that you're living in, absolutely insane.
What else we got here? The foxes have their holes and the birds have their nest. But the Son of Man has no place to lay his head and rest. Ooh, that's rhymes.
Insane. And you better find me, Jesus Christ, or it's not me, you better find Jesus Christ. And that's what he said, find him. And you will have an everlasting life in a place where people are good to each other. And that's just done. That is all over now. All right, I'm going to sort of wrap it up before too long. I mean, it's so obvious, it's hard to discuss it.
He's going to wrap it up
with anybody because there's nothing they can say other than, oh, that's just erosion, just like they say. Now, this is by...
It is erosion. That's exactly... It's not just that this is a still and we say we have a still of the erosion process. We just have a still of it, and that's all we know. We can actually monitor the process happening in real time. We can see the erosion happening. We can see the weather patterns having a impact on the face of these canyon walls. It's not just something, we speculate that this is what happened thousands of years ago. No, this is something that's still happening now. We still see this happening now. That's how nature works. It didn't just go on pause once humans showed up on the scene.
Geology, and look at the sky. This is at 42 seconds out. This is Bryce Canyon. That's another place. Well, what's behind him? There's a gigantic waterfall. What's the water doing way up there? Why is there a gigantic waterfall? I can tell you why. There's an artery inside that.
There's a gigantic waterfall up there, probably because there may be some glaciers up there, but there's also the seasonal freeze that thaws out. And yeah, that's how precipitation works. It falls up high and then runs down low.
Or this could be literally a heart. And the water the ground pressure is pushing it up through that void, and it's coming down here. As a waterfall. And I mean,
should it be blood then? That'd be cool. A blood waterfall. There'd be so many heavy metal concerts at the base of this waterfall if it was a blood fountain. They'd have like deathcore bands playing there all the time.
Powerful. I'd love to have a discussion with some of the experts. Listen to what she has to say. She's with the Park Service.
What NASA can see from space can help us understand what's deep in our forests.
I agree. I'd love to have a discussion. I'm going to try to get a hold of Nancy.
Is this Bigfoot warming around back on here?
Philippi. And then if anybody can get a hold of anybody and put them onto my channel, Mud Fossil University on YouTube, and I have all kinds of things that upend a lot of the stuff we're being told. And we have to have discussions about it. To have everything swept under the carpet and hidden is just not right. And that's what's happening now, because I've made contact with literally everybody. And I either get no response whatsoever, or you're a tinfoil hat guy, go away. That's it. So
You aren't, oh, Roger, don't let them put you down like that. You are the tinfoil hat guy. You are king of the tinfoil hat people. I will vote for you. Actually, speaking of, the Potholer just released the Golden Crocoduck for the year, so check that out. It's a familiar face.
Somebody's going to have to be able to get through to somebody that's in a position that can discuss this. And most of the people that are in a position that can discuss this are scared to death to speak of it. It's just like in politics. If you tell the truth, you're out. If you lie like hell, you're in. That's the way it works nowadays. Lie as good as you can lie, and just keep lying. And everybody will have to follow your lies. Otherwise, they'll be destroyed. It's unbelievable. Society has just...
I'll talk to Roger, though. Aunt Jer. I'll talk to Roger for days. I would love that. Roger, come talk to me. I'll bring Maya with me. Maya has questions. I know she does.
It's been collapsed. Okay. I want to show you something that was written 800 BC. And this was translated by Cambridge and Harvard and London, William, all this. You know, this is very, very fully understood now. And this was the Greek myth. And it starts out with the sky ruled over the whole world. And they had sex. And they had all of these kind of monsters and so forth. Let's go with the birth of Zeus, the war of the Titans, Olympian gods. Let's just go up to where I can prove that this is accurate.
This is, ancient Greeks, all the elements of reality were covered by one deity or another, like indiscriminately. They were flawed individuals too. So they had sexual relationships and adultery and wrath and all that stuff. They were very much personifications of the element, like you said up here, the sky and the earth being wed and giving birth to the Titans.
War of the Giants. I've got giants coming out of my ears. Typhon. Who was Typhon? Typhon was another dragon. All right, Zeus smote and destroyed with the other giants. Zeus smote and destroyed with thunderbolts. All of them Hercules shot with arrows as they were dying. This is the ancient myths. Everybody laughed like hell at this. I don't laugh anymore. When the gods had overcome the giants, Earth was more enraged and had intercourse with Tartarus and brought forth Typhon. Typhon was a man and beast, a hybrid between the two, and he surpassed everything. And
I don't know why I don't know if they consider Typhon a dragon. Is Typhon a dragon? I thought Typhon was just like a giant monster.
So big, he out-topped all the mountains. His head often brushed the stars. And he was fire flashed from his eyes. He spit out all this.
He has hundreds of dragons. He has hundreds of dragons' heads, though. You skip over that part because it doesn't fit your Quetzalcoatl claims here.
And guess where Typhon was? Here he is right over here. And he's as big as Quetzalcoatl. Oh, I was looking at the Marrakesh thing, see if I could relate it to Typhon.
We already looked at this one.
To be honest with you, but
we didn't look at it with Roger, though. We looked at it with somebody else. But the dragon across North Africa.
They are extracting a lot of oil in that area, and I looked into it anyway. Forget about that. Here's Typhon. There he is right there. There's his head. Here's his beards. They all had beards.
Yeah. Those are beards.
Right
not definitely not river valleys. These are definitely beards, not river valleys.
And he was spitting out all this nasty stuff.
Blah. He was
trying
drunk,
to kill
maybe.
this giant fish. Now, I've gone over this minimum 500.
This is a giant fish. Keep that in mind, guys. This is the dragon eating a giant fish. Maybe it's a spinosaur eating a giant sawfish.
100 times.
North Africa.
So I'm not going to go over it again. Here he is from here.
Should I start smacking my desk during the show? Do y'all like that? Smack the desk?
Here. He runs the whole North Africa. And he has a pooper too. And here's where he poops right here. And the two of them come together. The green side is the poop, and this is their urine. And they flow together right out of here.
But, again, you said it's avian and reptiles. Ravians and reptiles
And
don't have two streams.
all the way down. And Zeus smote him with his great and mighty sword, which is a thunderbolt, cut his neck right there. He bled out in the desert. This is all dragon scales that run all the way down his throat.
Not mountains.
Like I said, I got 500 videos on it, minimum. So that's all I'm going to do for this one. The whole earth, as Jesus Christ said, is a body and a corpse. And when you find out, you're going to be disturbed.
So, like, Zeus would have been, what, Zeus isn't Jupiter. Is Zeus Jupiter? But yeah, so he struck the earth. So there was a big dragon crawling around on the earth, so he struck it with a thunderbolt. Neato. All right, that was a wild ride. Roger's always a wild ride. Speaking of Maya, though, and wild rides, we are going to be going on a wild ride of sea serpent hunting tomorrow night. So be there or be square. It'll be me and Maya and Dr. Tapioca Weasel and Purple Rhymes with Orange. So that'll be a good time. Hopefully you have time for it. But I'm glad you were able to, and I'll probably, if I can, I may release it on my channel too, depending on how things go. But yeah, Zeus is Jupiter. I thought so. Anyhow, thank you for joining us for Cryptic Corner. We already finished Cryptic Corner and Creation Watch. We're rolling right along. Thank you for joining us in Creation Watch with our Quetzal Cloaca and Mud Fossil University. Hope you enjoyed it, and please remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you next time. Live from the Hive audience. As always, do not go anywhere, but the show is not over, and I need you. I crave your interaction in the side chat for the upcoming sessions, because we got a paleo peek, and then we got another bad science video for sci-fails that we're going to look at. Another one from Brightside, so if you liked that last time, hopefully you'll like it again this time. So I will see you guys over there. Hello, and thank you for joining me for tonight's episode of Paleo Peak. It's got some, it's almost a Paleo Peak and Arachno news at the same time, because this is about a new fossil spider. So I hope you are here for it, because I definitely am. I always like to check IFL Science for the latest on paleontology, and I recommend that you subscribe to IFL Science as well. This is an article by Rachel Funnell. Astonishing 15 million year old spider fossil is the second largest ever found. It's 5 times bigger than its living relative. So even though modern spiders are the biggest that we know of, there's nothing bigger in the fossil record than the extant tarantula, genus Theraphosa, or the giant huntsman spiders of Southeast Asia in the family. Oh my God, it's going to kill me if I can't remember this. Heteropoda. Yes, Heteropoda. So, the Heteropoda and Theraphosa, larger than anything in the fossil record, but Nephilia is about the same size as the biggest one in the fossil record, and that's the only fossil spider that's bigger than this one, but we'll get to that in a second. Because Nephilia are web-building spiders, even though the bad bug video that we did a couple of weeks ago insisted that they lived in burrows for some reason. Really weird stuff. This is a brand new one, and all the species that are related to this in modern time are much smaller. So let's find out who it's related to and what it's all about. A spider bonanza kicked off in Australia during the Miocene, at the time when a change in the climate dried up the landscape. This gave a group of spiders called megalomorph spiders an opportunity to diversify. Megalomorphic spiders, again, those are the downward facing fangs, tarantulas, and trapdoor spiders, funnel web spiders, mouse spiders. They are megalomorphic spiders, as opposed to Arania, where the fangs go inward towards each other, which is pretty much every other spider that you can think of. From wolf spiders to webs, to orb weavers, to black widows and brown recluses, jumping spiders, everything else is an Arania. Continuing on, which would be really cool to see if we had many spider fossils to work with. The record is regrettably sparse, but scientists recently discovered a world's first fossil that comes from a new genus and species of arachnid. It's the fossil, let me see here. Sorry, sitting on my foot. It's the first fossil of its kind ever discovered. It is massive. It dates back to the Miocene, a period that spans 23 to 5 million years ago. But our chunky trapdoor spider was only stamping around between 11 and 16 million years ago. As the second largest spider fossil ever found, it is about 5 times bigger than similar spider species that still walk the earth today. In terms of size, it's comparable to a modern wolf spider at around 50 millimeters or 2 inches toe to toe. Named Megamonodontium McCluskey. Its genus name is a reference to its nearest living relative, a group of tiny little dwelling brush-footed trapdoor spiders in the genus Monodontium. The latter name is after Dr. Simon McCluskey, who discovered the fossil in June of 2020. and so got to live the dream of having a species named after him. It's actually kind of in bad taste, I think, to name a species after yourself. You should name it after somebody who's important to the field other than yourself, or something regional, or something about its characteristics. I think it's taboo to name it after yourself. If somebody else wants to name a spider after him, that's fine. Just my opinion on when it comes to naming new species. If I named a new species, I wouldn't name it something, I don't know, Latrodectus mccuni or something like that. I would name it, if this, like, from Australia, I can name it, you can, from the desert, I can name it maybe Outbacky, or Mega Outbacky, or, yeah, there's lots of things you could do. You name it after another spider scientist. The outstanding fossil is a type of brush-footed trapdoor spider that would have hunted by ambushing prey that made a big mistake of walking within reach of its camouflage burrow. Its lifestyle could explain why it's taken humans so long to retrieve a fossil like this one. Not only is it the largest fossilized spider to be found in Australia, but it is the first fossil of the family Barrichellidae, or Barrichellidae, I think that would be, Barrichellidae, that has been found worldwide, said Queensland Museum arachnologist Dr. Robert Raven in a statement, who was supervising the author's study. Yeah, if you had named it after Dr. Raven, that would have been tasteful. Could have named it Megamonodontium ravani, or Raveni. Ravena? Is raven feminine in Latin? I can't even, guys, I can't even Hive. Not only is it we already read that. Okay, there are around 300 species of brush-footed trapdoor spiders alive today, but they don't seem to become fossils very often. This could be because they spend so much time inside burrows and so aren't in the right environment to be fossilized. Its discovery will enable scientists to fill in some gaps in the knowledge of the evolution of spiders, and they've already learned a few things by taking up close peeks at its finer details, which remarkably have stayed intact over tens of millions of years. Scanning electron microscopy allowed us to study minute details of the claws and setae in the spider's pedipalps, legs, and main body, said University of Canberra Associate Professor Michael Fries. Setae are hair-like structures that can range in function. Yeah, and arthropods have them generally. They can sense chemicals and vibrations, defend the spider against attack, and even make sounds. Yep, that's called stridation when they do that. They'll rub them together. It's what trapdoor spiders do. When you hear a spider, it sounds like it's hissing. That's what that actually is, the sound of them rubbing that together. Yeah, and they can also urticating hair setae, the ones that tarantulas throw at you. They are electrosensitive. They respond to electromagnetism. And you can learn more about this new discovery in the Zoological Journal of the Linnaean Society. So that's a zoological journal, which are great if you want to keep on the cutting edge of animal science. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and pop that sucker open just so you can get a good look at it. When it comes to articles in here, these ones are generally open access, so you can come in and look at different pictures of the spiders and some of the. You can read on it too if you're really wanting to get that deep into it. But they got some morphometric measurements, which I love, and yeah, they did have a quote. I did have a citation from Raven's 1994. So at least seeing they recognize. See, it would have been such a good idea to name it after Raven. I think that would have been like a really cool thing for this guy to do. But it's like, nope, name it after me. Okay. Because it looks like he's like citing him and everything in his paper, or yeah. But It's fine. I mean, I'm not telling him who he can and can't name it after. It's his species. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is our resource journal, and I'm actually gonna bookmark it because I'd like to come in and explore more of their articles. All right. So that was a little bit of Paleo Peak, a new fossil spider for you, and always love learning about new discoveries in ancient species, whether they're packed in amber or smashed in Lagerstätten. Whichever way they're fossilized, I want to see them, and I want to learn about them, and I want to share about them with you. So thank you for joining me in Paleo Peak. Please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time. All right. We'll see if I don't go anywhere because I still got another segment I'm going to do here. But if I were naming a species, I would probably try to name it after somebody who's influential to the field that I was researching. Right? Like if it was a spider, yeah, I would just, for instance, like quoting or citing Raven, or if it was like a primate or something, you could say you could cite Fossey, stuff like that. Actually, you know what? If I named a species of spider today, a new species of spider, I would probably name it after PZ. I think I'd name it after PZ Myers because he's my spider friend. Yeah, that's probably what I do. Probably name it. What would it be? What would the Latinized version of Myers be? Eerie? Myersi? Probably something like that. Yeah, I think that's what I do. All right, so got one little intermission here, and then we're gonna pop right into our science fail for the day. So I'll see you guys over there in just a minute.
This is going to be
Try that again. Hello, hello, and good evening, and welcome to another installment of Science Fails. God dang it, my eyelash is going crazy. I'm going to try this one more time. Good grief. I'm not having a good morning, Hive. Let's start over from the top. I think I need to get new magnet stuff. All right. Thank you so much for joining me this evening and another installment of Sci-Fails, where we look at some poorly researched, poorly presented, and sometimes downright deceptive science videos found in the YouTube sphere. This is another segment brought to us by Brightside, which does some very bad science videos. And the problem is that they're supposed to be educational and they're supposed to be for kids. So this one, from what I watched, I would like, at least they got the measurements and time frames right on this one. They didn't on the last one, which was the last time I covered Brightside. It was the Gigantopithecus versus T-Rex. And this one is going to be definitely another mismatch. So And I will explain why in just a moment. But let's get right into it because this should be some good stuff.
Be a very unusual match, but I bet it'll also be spectacular and
These models are awful. I'm not pretending that they're supposed to be great or anything, but yes, that was the one with the Kung Fu. That's exactly right. But these models, we got Megalodon and Titanoboa, right? And they are both battling out in the arena of Brightside, which is always nothing's ever a fair fight, it seems like.
intense. In the left corner, we have Megalodon. This species went extinct about 3 million years ago, but there are good...
Well, I got 10 seconds in. 3.6 million years ago, so I could be nice, but you're off by 500,000 years when it's only 3.5 million years long time frame. So that's being off by a large margin, considering when this creature lived.
Good reasons why it's now a legendary animal. It's the biggest shark that ever existed, and it was a super powerful predator.
Was it, though? Was it the biggest shark that ever existed? Potentially.
In its time. And a round of applause for our contender in the right corner, Titanoboa. This one's way bigger than any other snake. It lives in the swamps of Colombia, and it's the real boss of the area. Titanoboa can eat absolutely any
boss babe. Yeah, the girls are bigger, so it's a boss babe because it's a boid.
Animal it decides to hunt, and it faces no competition. It can swallow a giant turtle or even a crocodile. It looks
depending on how big the turtle or the crocodile is. It's not meant for. It can't take off chunks of anything. It has to whatever it eats, it has to swallow whole, just like any other snake. So, yeah, there's been a lot of evidence that that Titanoboa was a piscivore too. So there's that, which would make it more like my little my beloved file snakes and elephant trunk snakes, which are stupid adorable. Oh man, I wish I could pull up a picture and show you how adorable they are. Hold on, let me see, because someone tagged me or someone reacted to it just recently. They're so cute. It's too cute. I can't take it. Here we go. Hold on. Let me pull this over. Gotta shrink this down real quick. This is an elephant trunk snake, and they are so freaking adorable. They're like basically fully aquatic. They're piscivores. They do constriction. They aren't closely related to the pythons and boids, though. They're their own thing, and they look like a wrinkly elephant trunk, but they got a cute little snoot. Look at that snoot. Isn't that adorable? That's the snoot. That's the snoot of the champion right there. And this leaves on its head like a little flower on its brow, so that really sells its adorableness. But look at those doe eyes. The eyes face upwards, obviously, because it's an aquatic animal, but they're big and kawaii eyes, so they're stupid cute. Yeah, sharks don't fossilize well. We have some vertebra, and we have billions of teeth, not billions. We have lots of meg teeth.
Looks like a modern boa, but behaves like an anaconda, and that's a very scary mix. But can it stop a giant shark?
All right, so I have this here so that we can compare these two, not with their wonky models, but actually how the animals are believed to have looked. Here's a very large, but based on their measurements, we're going to get into that in a bit. But here's the comparison of the two. So we'll let them break it down.
Let's start by looking at their sizes. We still don't know about megalodons.
Anacondas are boas. Yeah, they're a specific group of or clade of boas, but yeah, they are boids or boids. I've always questioned how you say that with those two eyes, and they're boids. But yeah, it includes boas and anacondas are the two groups in there, but it's all boas. There's some wonderfully beautiful boas too, but not like rubber boas. Rubber boas are also their own thing. Snakes are complicated, but
its exact size,
sharks,
because the only remains of them that have survived are just fossilized.
That is not how a shark's spinal column looks. That'd be like a whale right there. Sharks, it looks like a oil filter from an old car. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Backbones and teeth. But scientists generally think this monster was about 50 feet long. So it wasn't just the biggest shark that ever existed.
See, this is the measurement I went with because they included that. So that's why in my slide I included the 50-foot megalodon. Because they say that that megalodon has to be this size. When I think that there's actually a happy medium. Oh, not that. Let's see. Did I get it on here? I guess not. I had made one up with because the actual like the modal measurement for megalodon is not 50 feet. It's 34 feet. So presenting it just which is 11.8 meters, I think. But just wanted to point that out, that this is like a larger than average megalodon, and we only have the hollow type of Titanoboa, so it's just that one piece of spine to give us an idea how big that snake was. And it could not compete. It couldn't even wrap around a megalodon. Anyway.
Existed, but also one of the biggest fish of its time. Its closest rival is the modern whale shark, but they're only about 40 feet. The giant Titanoboa got so big thanks to a lucky coincidence. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, so they need a warm climate to live and grow in. Northeastern Colombia is perfect. It was about 90 degrees when Titanoboa was alive.
That's like the mean temperature. Yeah, right. So this was a period, it's about 60 to 58 million years ago. Right? And the dinosaurs had recently gone extinct. So everything else was small. There were snakes around, right? And they were able to thrive, this ecosystem in the upper South America. Had monstrous crocodiles. I think there was some Beckett crocs too, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, definitely. And there were giant turtles, some of the biggest turtles that have ever lived. And obviously our giant snake, and also a variety of giant fish. Now, did it eat crocodilians and turtles? I mean, modern anacondas do, so there's no reason to believe that this creature would not have. It seems reasonable to infer that it would not have eaten the larger organisms larger than itself at all. It would not have even wanted to tangle with anything that it couldn't swallow. Now, what could it swallow? A lot. There's a lot of. It's a huge snake, and it can. The bottom jaws of snakes are not. They're like two arms, just with a skin membrane between them, with two hooks on them, and they're able to pull independently. So snakes can. They don't have hands, but they got those. They can manipulate stuff into their mouths pretty good. Now, this model is awful, but we'll get into that in just a minute.
This helped it grow to an incredible 42 feet in length. Titanoboa.
That is a good measurement for it, because a lot of people put 47 feet, and that's ridiculous.
Boa could easily swallow the longest snake registered in the Guinness Book of Records, which is only about 25 feet.
I believe the longest snake in the Guinness Book of World Records, again, if I'm wrong, correct me, is the reticulated python, which is 33 feet, more than 25 feet. But unless that's been redacted for some reason, that is not only the longest snake in the world, it's also what was I going to say? The arboreal, so it wouldn't weigh anywhere near as much as an anaconda, though, of like 2/3 of the length, right? Because anaconda, they get up to about 17 feet, 18 feet maybe, at the biggest. And when they're that big, an anaconda is almost as big as around as like bigger than a basketball. It's huge. They swallow goats and capybara and stuff. They're absolutely massive and thick, whereas reticulated python of the same weight as the largest anaconda would be as big around as a coffee can for the most part. And reticulated pythons are actually, whereas anacondas are aquatic, and a place where being limbless is awesome and makes you efficient, the reticulated python is arboreal, where being limbless and streamline is also incredibly efficient. Yeah, the world record for the length of reticulated python is a whopping 32 feet and 9 inches. See, they're shortchanging the python here to boost up the Titano, I guess.
Feet long, and that's a big gulp. So we have 50 feet versus 42. The first point goes to Megalodon. What about weight?
But at their modal length, which the modal length for the Titanoboa can only be the current 42 feet model, right? But the modal length for a Megalodon, again, is 34 feet. So if they were actually honest about the modal length, which is what's important when it comes to a species, if they're just talking about, oh yeah, the biggest Megalodon possible versus the biggest Titanoboa possible, based on what knowledge we have, that's a little different. Citation for that, Brian Stevens. I don't think I've ever heard of an anaconda exceeding 25 feet. There's some questionable reports that anacondas have reached those types of lengths, but I don't think there's ever been a substantiated claim of that length or that weight. As far as I know, 350 pounds is the official. Absolutely, please, you got a wrench if you got a citation for me on that. Smithsonian. Hold on, let me see here. Anaconda. We're going to do the green anaconda because that's the big one. The yellow anaconda is huge too. Make no mistake about it. I might as well show you guys what I'm doing too while we're at it. So here's how you use Wikipedia. Also, this is a good resource for finding citations. So yeah, for the anaconda, this limit is estimated at 22 feet in total length. What's our citation on that? The life history of green anaconda with emphasis on reproductive biology. And the food habits of Brazilian boid snakes overview. So let's go check that out. And accept all cookies. And we're going to search for, what was it, 22? Talk to us about the length. Material method. because I know that back in like the 90s and stuff, there was reports that they made it into the Guinness Book of World Records and stuff of this anaconda in captivity that was allegedly 500 pounds and such, and upwards of 25 feet long, and that someone actually ended up coming to measure it, and it turned out to be BS. Because I was part of that carnivora forum at the time. I was like one of the administrators, and that's what the Snake Bros was. It was their champion in their interspecies conflict, because it could go but they'd like say, oh, anaconda can take a lion and stuff because it's 550 pounds, and things like that. And it was really, and they always cite the snake and I know that's where the 550 pounds comes from, but they'd always cite that snake. Here, I don't know if I can launch that from here or not. Yeah, go to site. Yeah, there we go. Green anaconda. "30 feet, 9 meters. Okay. 12 inches. But it doesn't give a citation for that information, though. Because the Smithsonian's not like a... not like a zoological journal. I'm not saying that something new might not have come out, but let's look here. I just want to find the official data on it. 550 pounds. Two men paddled within inches of a 30-foot anaconda that looks simply prehistoric. I think we've seen this before, right? I don't want to watch for the ads. So I think that's the... Yeah, because I know there's lots of videos out there like, oh, 10-meter anaconda and stuff. That one that's always shown is actually not even a green anaconda, it's a yellow anaconda. I'm wondering if that's the one they're talking about here, but I don't want to watch their ads. Let's see. Thank you for sending me down this rabbit trail, Brian. I like exploring this stuff.
Agora sim, ó, eu tô levando lá o senhor Misael lá pra nós ver uma minhoquinha ali, tá? Ele vai... Eita!
Ela é bem grande.
Grande mesmo, né?
Ela é bem grande.
Seu Misael. Ó, a cicatriz ali, pessoal, ó. Eu consegui ver, não sei se dá pra ver ali. A cicatriz... É um filhote ainda?
É um filhote.
Filhote. Lá
I don't
foi
know
a...
what they're saying here, but
Aproximadamente.
we should just leave it alone and let it eat, I would say.
Porque é muito grande você ver esse animal passando por baixo de você. Nós estamos aqui numa espécie de
These
caiaque.
headphones are pulling my
Daí ela tá
hair
aqui
all wonky.
na toca dela. Vamos ver se dá pra ver aqui a parte dela.
What are you doing?
corpo dela
Just
aqui.
leave it alone.
Parte do corpo dela fiada aqui. Que ela sujou a água
All right. We're not
Tá
going
aqui
to watch
dentro.
any more of that.
da toca. A sucuri gigante.
Stop
Que eu tô...
See, there's the 30-foot anaconda claim. 33 feet long. That's 900 pounds on that one. Well, I agree. I generally would be okay with the Smithsonian if I hadn't had to research this to settle disputes back in it wasn't recently or anything, like 2013, and at that point in time there was no credible source for an anaconda over 22 feet long. like no credible cited measurement of one that big. And the one that was alleged to be that size was actually was much shorter. It's like 21.6 feet or something like that. And there was a display at like a reptile expo place, and it was their famous snake. I can't remember what her name was. Let's see. Maybe it'll bring her up. Record-breaking anaconda snake. Heaviest anaconda recorded was 227 kilograms. That's huge. Let's see, what do we have here? Yes, I'll accept your cookies. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Look how cute it is. Boop, boop. I want to boop it. A boop. Oh. Because yeah, if I'm wrong, because I've put it on my, again, I have my measurements here, and I have the anaconda on here with its current length as we know it. The anaconda's here is the middle one. The bottom one is our reticulated python, and the top one is Titanoboa. Obviously, I got them labeled on here. It is, okay, there's reticulated python, longest of the, sorry. Reticulated python live in Southeast Asia, blah, blah, blah. The longest and heaviest snake to ever be recorded, to ever be held in captivity, I should say, it was a reticulated python called Medusa, who was 7.67 meters long and weighed 158 kilometers. Green anacondas are also exceptionally long snakes, but also subject to exaggerated length myths in the past. With snakes of over 24 meters allegedly being sighted, yeah, that's ridiculous. 24 meters, come on now. In reality, the green anaconda rarely exceeds 6.25 meters. And how big do I have mine? 6.25. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got about just under 6 meters for mine. So, yeah, that's probably reasonable. Did you say weight in kilometers? Did I say I said kilometers? 158 kilograms. Yeah, I do. I like making these graphs. Here's the megalodon compared to the great white shark and the whale shark. Again, great white shark's another species that gets exaggerated a lot in pop culture and in pop science, when their actually average size is more like this. Still huge. I mean, you run into this shark, you're not gonna forget it. And whale sharks are absolutely enormous. Yep, I do like making these graphs. The longest venomous snake is the king cobra. They're like 18 feet long, I think. Eventually it grew 5.7 meters. No, Brian, I'm having, hope I didn't run you off. I wasn't like trying to challenge what you said. It was just something that I was hoping to find out that they'd found or that they measured one that was bigger. Because I want there to be, green anacondas are the heaviest snakes in the world. The heaviest anaconda ever recorded was 227 kilograms. That's huge. And 8.43 meters long. So that would put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to about right here. So that did make quite a difference if that was the if that's the maximum length. This is definitely more like the average size, but having it out to here, I wouldn't. Yeah, if it was in the 227 kilograms, I think that matches what. Whoops, Brian's link here, Smithsonian. Here we go. Yeah, so it matches up pretty close to what the 550 pounds, and is shy of 30 feet though. 28 feet would be closer based on that measurement, but if they're rounding, you know. Yeah, I definitely, I know you like being challenged on stuff. I don't disagree. The Smithsonian is a resource either. I just, I would like to track down the citation for the size on it because, I want to know where this individual was weighed and all that, you know. That's just the kind of nerd I am. I keep all this stuff in files. I don't much debate in those groups anymore, but I do like having these conversations. And I would love to actually have, like, instead of everybody always debating about religion all the time, to do some debate stuff like this. Like, what is the heaviest anaconda? Let's get back over here, though. Now, the feathered anaconda can get to the size of the Appalachian Mountains. That is true. Roger proved it.
Titanoboa is about 2,500 pounds. That's heavier than a small car, including the passengers. But it might be even heavier if you run into Titanoboa after it's had lunch.
It's going to be less aggressive, though. It's not going to want to mess with anything. It's going to want to hide if it's just eaten. Because snakes don't fight on a full stomach. If you challenge a snake, well, after it's just eaten, after it's got its belly full, it'll have to throw up its meal before it can fight you. Snakes are not good combatants at all. In any context, they are not fighters. They are ambush predators, like every single one of them. The closest thing to a fighting snake is a black mamba. And the only reason they're so effective is because they have the dominating painful venom. Did we scare you with the snake, Sandy?
In that case, you can add a few 100 pounds more from the turtle or the alligator that it just swallowed.
Yeah, but you don't. Again, it has to puke those up before it can fight. So we don't want to add. We don't want to give it a full tummy. It's going to be bad for him.
If you put Titanoboa on some very large scales, you'd need 5 giant anacondas on the other side to balance them out. But Megalodon is an incredible 50 times heavier than Titanoboa. The average adult female weighs between 27 and 59 tons. That's as much as an empty Boeing 737 airplane. And that's without carry-on luggage either. Luckily,
yeah, so the weight disparity here is freaking... I still got my graph up there, sorry. I think my art's better than theirs anyway here. Even though mine's much more simple. It's more accurate. So, again, the weight disparity is unsurmountable here, just like it was with the T-Rex and the Gigantopithecus. Just way too much.
enough, Megalodon can't fly. So obviously, Megalodon wins in the weight category. Right. That's one more point to the ancient
orders of magnitude. More
shark. Although having such a large weight makes it difficult for the shark to move, and also means it's a little clumsy. which leads us to our next.
What is this? What is that based on, that it's slow and clumsy? Modern sharks aren't slow and clumsy. There was a time where we thought dinosaurs were slow and clumsy too, but they're not. Large sharks do have, I mean, the heftier you are, the more slower you are to turn. But I wouldn't refer to Megalodon as slow or clumsy.
Category: speed and agility. Megalodon can swim at about 16 feet per second. That's enough to make it the ultimate predator, but it's still slower than plenty of other species. If Megalodon was
1.2 miles an hour would be like its cruising speed, right? So it's pretty slow. There's an article called Megaslowdon. Let's see. Here, I'll show you. But so maybe they are right about it being slow, but about clumsy, I don't know about that. See, this one's citing, HiveScience is citing 3.1 in 2022, but this Daily Mail is citing 1.2. Saying previously it was 3.1. So let's look and see what papers that's from. And they're using like a 65-foot Megalodon model. It's so disingenuous. 65 foot is just not even, I don't know. Again, modal size is probably what we're going to go off of generally when we're talking about these interactions. But even at modal size, shark's like so much bigger than the snake. It's not even funny. Did I lose my article already? What? I'm trying to find your citations, my friend. What's Professor Shimada? Okay. Where's the link though? You should link to his article. But you have a link to frickin' Michael Phelps, but you don't have a link to the guy you're interviewing? Or their paper? Is it this one? Megalodon was not as a cold-blooded killer. This list is 60-foot giant shark too. Just wild that 65 foot on this one. Yeah, 20 meters. Whereas 50 foot's definitely more reasonable. Probably max, hitting the maximum size is around 50 foot. But obviously they don't have a citation outside of this guy says so. So what are we gonna do? You guys want to look? You want to look up Professor Shimada and see what he has to say about Megalodon speed. Extinct Alert, Science Daily. There we go. A new study reveals the iconic Megalodon, or megatooth shark, was a rather slow cruiser that used its warm-bloodedness to facilitate digestion. Okay. All right, let's get back to the video. I'm distracted by all these different citations that aren't
in a pool and Usain Bolt was running along next to it, he would be twice as fast. His top speed is almost 40 feet per second. Now, a sailfish, which is the fastest sea creature, can reach
the fastest living sea creature. No, I'm being pedantic
about
there.
100 feet per second. Megalodon's size and weight make it turn really slowly, just the same as a large truck. So when it attacks, the shark has only one chance to strike. If it misses, it has to go around for a second attempt.
I hate these teeth, because we know exactly what Megalodon teeth look like. More than anything else about Megalodon, we know what its teeth look like. It does not look like a forest of cones. If this was green, I'd think this was an evergreen forest here. This is ridiculous. We know exactly what this shark's dentition looked like. We've reconstructed it hundreds of times across museums around the world, and these people building these 3D models. Yes, I'll hydrate. And these people building these 3D models are not able to reference this actual shark and its anatomy.
This gives its prey more than enough time to run away. Titanoboa isn't that fast either, especially on land. But when the giant snake is in the water, it can swim at a speed of up to 12 miles per hour. Not much.
I mean, that's based on the anaconda's speed. Yeah, I don't disagree that the snake's going to be slow, especially on land. If it even spent time on land doing anything besides basking, I'd be surprised. I think that considering how warm the environment was too, maybe basking wasn't such a chore. So that as well. Now, in the water, anacondas are freaking crazy agile. Like they tie you in knots. They're so...
But enough for it to escape from Megalodon if it needs to. It's learned to swim so well because water is its main hunting ground. And because Titanoboa is a snake, duh, it also has incredible mobility. It can wriggle around and change direction very quickly, so it can easily dodge Megalodon's bite. So here's the first point for Titanoboa. The score is 2-1 in favor of Megalodon.
For mobility, what's it gonna do? It can run. That's about it. That's the best Titanoboa the best option Titanoboa has here is to run and try to hide where this where the thick shark cannot get to it. Because once again, this is the size comparison. These are what these two organisms look like side by side.
Next section, fighting skills. Megalodon is incredibly smart. It can change tactics depending on what kind of prey it's hunting. Scientists have found teeth markings from Megalodon on some whale fossils. These show that the giant sharks aim their bites at their prey's vital body parts to take them out quickly. Other remains of Megalodon's victims have multiple fractures. This is because Megalodon performs a super powerful ram.
Right, they do the same way great whites when they're out in the open ocean. Swim around underneath, get right underneath, and then go straight up and hit you in the soft underbelly and do a devastating bite. And then they just like swim away and kind of circle around underneath, waiting for you to bleed out. And once you're dead, they come back up to feed. They don't fight. They're not fighting animals. They do a hit, and sometimes they're successful, and sometimes they're not, but they do a hit.
Attack that can knock almost anything out. In fact, this 50-ton beast can easily smash through concrete walls.
Because there was so much concrete around during the period that Megalodon lived in that we know it could crash through concrete walls. Where is the... Citations. There's no citations in this video, by the way. I mean, we can go look down here and see. And stock material. And it doesn't have a single source for the information. But we'll continue on.
So, Megalodon's opponents don't really stand a chance. Some of them prefer to first damage the tails and fins of the whale they're hunting. This stops it from escaping, letting the huge predator finish off its defenseless victim. Now, what can Titanoboa do in response? The giant snake isn't poisonous, but
so at this point, I'm sure everybody's expecting me to be like venomous, not poisonous, but I accept that that venom is a type of poison. It poisons your system when it's injected into you. So I don't mind venom being called poison. It'd be worse and more egregious to call all poisons venom. So I'm in camp, all venom is poison, but not all poison is venom.
this doesn't stop it from hunting prey up to 4 meters long. Its bite has a very special design. The structure of its teeth and jaws lets Titanoboa really...
Up to 4 meters long, huh? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So about that long. That's shark's gonna be a little bit out of your range there, buddy.
clamp down on the body of its prey, so there's no escape. When hunting, Titanoboa uses similar tactics to an anaconda or a boa. By that,
constriction.
I mean it uses its powerful muscles and weight to stop its prey from moving. It deploys all of its strength to take away the animal's energy, making it...
Again, it doesn't matter that it uses constriction if it's not long enough to wrap around the organism it's trying to constrict. If it's not long enough to make a full circle around the shark, more than 1 and like a quarter times, constriction is going to be fairly useless here.
Helpless. So, Titanoboa is not only really speedy and agile, it can also fight its corner pretty well. It's definitely earned a point in the fighting skills section.
Not if it can't wrap around the shark. It can't wrap around the shark. How is it going to fight? It's fighting skills. It's like it's like because a human's trained in karate, they can't, fight an elephant.
The score is now 2-2.
I'm not exaggerating. The weight difference between a Titanoboa and a Megalodon is not too much different than between a human and an Indian elephant.
2. That's a tie going into the final round. We've got one more section before we find out which of these ancient monsters will win. Up now is fighting tools. Apart from its ramming power, Megalodon has something else up its sleeve, even though it really doesn't have arms or wears a coat. Let's take a look at its jaw.
At least you're looking at real shark teeth now instead of whatever your horrid model with its cone teeth are. It looks like a sand tiger shark's teeth.
Its teeth are about 7 inches long.
Big old
That's
teeth.
an absolute record for all known shark species in the world.
They show a whale shark, even though whale shark have like such reduced teeth that they're just like a ridge.
World. Megalodon has about 250 of these deadly pointy things arranged in 5 rows. They're also really sharp, which helps it penetrate the thick
serrated
skin of big animals like whales. Megalodon's jaws are 6.5 feet wide, and it has one of the strongest bites of any animal on the planet. Not only are they super dangerous, Megalodon's teeth are also really valuable.
But that's
one
not
of these
Megalodon
ancient...
We have plenty of pictures and videos of Megalodon tooth, but you show someone examining a theropod tooth. Interesting choice.
Incisors was once found in Western Australia. The location where it was dug up was kept secret, But this didn't stop intruders from stealing it. It's probably in someone's private collection by now, and sadly, scientists missed the chance to learn something new about Megalodon.
I think that there's these megalodon teeth are so common in the Chesapeake Bay that you can just go free dive and get as many as you want. I mean, not saying that they're not rare in Australia, or that there may not be some unique information they could have garnered from this one in Australia, but they're so common that they're in the Chesapeake Bay area that they're used for indexing, and you can actually see them as a chronos species moving from, what was it, Megalodon, or Otodus Megalodon, from Otodus Megalodon to, let me see here. It was, boom, 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 Megalodon. Okay, so it was Otodus. Was it Ablucus or Arucalatus? One of those two. It's the ancestor of Megalodon. But we see them as a chrono species, the transition from one to the other.
Titanoboa also has a mean set of teeth.
And doesn't have giant fangs in the front of its mouth at all. It's a boid. Rear-fanged. And not giant vampire fangs either.
They're thin and pointed like needles. They bend inwards in the snake's jaw like fishing hooks. This little feature helps Titanoboa get a grip on its prey and prevent...
And it's going to be absolutely useless against a giant shark.
...the slightest chance of it running or swimming away. If the animal tries to pull itself free, it will only hurt itself even more. And remember that Titanoboa is incredibly agile, so it can strike with that bite at an incredible speed. Now, it's time for the fight itself. Titanoboa never swims in the open sea, but here Megalodon has gotten lost and ended up in a shallow, swampy area off the coast of Colombia.
So it is in a swamp outside of in Colombia. So we have to nerf the Megalodon and put it in like a salt marsh to contend with the snake, to give the snake an advantage, which it would have in a marshy environment like this, because there'd be places to hide and move through and disorient your opponent.
In water like this, Megalodon finds it even harder to move around. It could bite Titanoboa just once, and the fight would be over.
So here it's showing the snake is capable of wrapping around the shark, but I don't know if that's actually the case. And they didn't talk about senses here, but both these animals have interesting senses, like sensory perception. With the shark having the electro signaling that it can pick up on, and really from really far away, and the snake has some levels of heat vision in its pits on its face.
But because the shark moves so much slower than the snake, for now, he doesn't get the chance to snap those enormous jaws. Titanoboa starts attacking Megalodon.
I don't think that Titanoboa could wrap around Megalodon, because I keep showing this again and again, but look at the size disparity here.
But it can't do much damage to that thick skin with its sharp but very short teeth. Eventually, Megalodon gets its chance and ends the fight with a single bite. It turns out that those huge teeth were what really...
That is the truth about this battle. It would end in one bite, but I don't think the snake would ever get a chance to wrap around the Megalodon and try to chomp on it with its teeth. I don't think that would happen. I think it would have Well, yeah, the boids don't have pits. They have, let me see here. Boids. Boids. Sorry, I'm trying to find some info on it here about how anacondas. Each pit organ of rattlesnake or boid snakes consists of a so here, let me bring this over. So I got this coming up here. And it said boid in the Didn't it say boid? Does it not let me search the actual article? I don't think. Well, let me search words that are in here. Yeah, boid snakes. Pythons and the other members of the family Boidae. I guess, so Boidae goes beyond just boid, doesn't it? Let's see. Titanoboa. So Titanoboa is Boidae. And Boidae Boidae includes some of the world's largest snakes. So Boidae is infrared sensitivity. But is it talking, when it says boids, does it mean Boidae? Or do we mean, because boid has, okay, so, yeah, pythons are excluded from Boidae. They aren't boids. So this paper about detecting infrared by Eric A. Newman and Peter Hartline indicates that boids do have some kind of heat-sensing pits. Maybe not the same ones as pythons. All snakes of the superfamily, of the subfamily Crotolinae, the pit vipers, have pit organs and are sensitive to infrared radiation. Cottonmouths, copperheads. Pythons and many other members of the family Boidae, boid snakes, distant relatives of the pit vipers, also have heat-sensitive pits. In contrast to pit vipers, they have many pits on the scales bordering the mouth, as many as 13 pairs. Infrared sensitivity in pit vipers and boid snakes has apparently evolved from the somatic sensory organ. In man and other animals, this system is concerned with the sensation of, among other things, touch, pressure, temperature, and pain. Okay. So they have some kind of sensory advantage over the shark here as far as being able to see like an infrared, I think, based on what I'm reading here. But as far as, I know pythons have, like, their face looks like a croc. They have so many pets. Anyway, back to the video. Thank you for, Again, I don't mind being challenged on this stuff, guys. Bring it up in the side chat and I'll look into it. I liked researching this stuff. I like talking about these. That's why I make these videos. We're almost at 3 hours now.
Really mattered in this competition. Chew on that for a while. That's 3-2 and a victory to the giant shark.
Yes, definitely a victory for the giant shark.
This is going to be a very...
Definitely a victory for the giant shark because it's a lot bigger than the competition. Like, oh, keep going out of there. But I wanted to go back over my slides here real quick, give more comparison with the measurements that they've given here. Now, with the modal measurements of the megalodon, we would probably be looking at more of a match similar to like a great white shark versus green anaconda situation, which is more like this, which would definitely be a more a closer fight. I mean, like seriously, look at the comparison here, comparison there. Definitely a closer fight with the great white and the anaconda, even though it's still a huge mismatch, and that anaconda is just going to be a meal. Probably put up less of a fight than your average seal. But this would just be predation. It wouldn't even be a fight. But yeah, here's comparison of Titanoboa, green anaconda, and reticulated python. I'm going to do some research today and see if I need to up that anaconda's scale, but I'll have to look for a citation on it. So I'm gonna add citations in on these scales, and I'm gonna start putting them up on my YouTube channel for fun. Anyway, that was some sci fails for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. It's been a bit of a wild ride, but yeah, I think that this was a mismatch. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, so to everybody watching this live from the Hive, thank you so much for sticking with me and hanging out while we looked at the Tighirum, the cat, the mysterious cat demons, and we looked into Mud Fossil University, and we found out about living inside a cave inside a dragon's cloaca. And then we had some paleo spiders and wrapped it up with this face-off. I hope you enjoyed this. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.